Hello interweb, this is Dannage. You're back. Why? Well, you're here now, so let's not worry about the whys, shall we? So we're in Starmade, we're in a shop, very old model, as you can tell by the complete lack of any wedges or angles, and it's all just squares. We are playing shortly after the release of the Factions update for live, and since the Factions update, my shopkeeper, in about 5 or 6 different universes that I've created in single player mode, shopkeeper now decides to wander around. He does sort of start right on the edge there, but then goes for a little spacewalk, and the spacewalk is over there, and I'm not sure why. But a couple of minor issues with the faction thing. This is the map here. This is a good long look at the spiral galaxy, and those are 3 bits of inhabited space, and that's fine. A couple of niggles apart from the shopkeeper. One, these ships, they're local. And they belong to the mining guild or the traders, and they're going around. After a couple of minutes, they tend to try. At least one of them tries to hump the shop, and I'm assuming that's because he's returning resources. I've tried to speak to this guy to complain about it, but he just wanders around in space. I've also tried to create a spaceship, which is just a big wall with edges, and then push him into said shop, but he doesn't hook on, and he goes back and he wanders outside again. The main issue though is that what I would normally do and what I would normally recommend for players is find the nearest rock, mine it to bits, and then come back and sell at the shop, and that's how you start. The fact that the factions, I read, I haven't really played with factions yet, but I read they don't like you mining in their territory. So that's not going to work, is it? I can't mine this local rock. What I can do though is decide to buy some stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat slightly, but I'm not going to cheat tremendously. I'm just going to do it for your benefit. So one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to buy some salvage modules. I'm going to buy all. Let me see. I start off with. Well, I should show you that I start off with 5 salvage modules. These are the actual beams that do all the work, and a salvage computer. I've got a ship core in my inventory. I will be making use of that shortly, and then I'll just put all the useless. I say useless stuff I don't make any use of. In the top there. Right, now I've got my inventory bar. Oh, there we go. Look. Hump, 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 hump. I've come to bring you goods, and also smash through any. Oh, there's 2 of them. It's a bit of a dirty group thing going on. Let's just face the other way. There's another one there. Right, well, we do need to buy some stuff, so we want to buy some stuff. Now, 95 of those, right, so 95 of those, going to give me 100 of those. Don't underestimate how many of these you need. I've sort of tweaked about with the server configuration settings on this single player. Especially if you're playing on somebody else's server, you may or may not find that you don't get as good a bounty from mines, from rocks. I will come back and explain that in a bit more detail in a bit. Whilst we're doing this, and we're finding some reactors, and we're finding some stuff to build for our reactors as well. I'll buy 30 of those. I shall buy 12 of those. and then some thrusters. Now, for a starting ship, yeah, you want pretty, and you want some proper stuff, but you know what? This is all you need. You need some power, some recharge, some thrust to keep you all afloat, and a fair amount of salvages. Now you think 100 is a fair amount. I do have a mining ship on the Ragnarok server, and it's not the most efficient mining ship even on that server, but that's got 37,000 salvage modules. So and it's a medium-sized asteroid eater, but it does eat the roids pretty quick. So what we're going to do, the slightly cheaty bit that we will do is we'll zoom in on here, and we will move. We will move into a blank, unexplored bit of territory, and this is where we'll cheat because I'll admin spawn myself there. And what that means is that basically you haven't had to either have a cutscene, oh that would have been terrible, but you also didn't spend 20 minutes watching me do anything. I'm near a planet. The planets do look cool, and the fact that they sort of went D12 shape rather than discs I do like, but I do find that my frame rate drops quite significantly when I'm anywhere near planets. So we are not necessarily going to go looking for any of those. We don't have any asteroids near us. That's slightly irritating. But what we're going to do is we're going to create our spaceship. And I'm going to call it Maurice. Or Morris. That's because it's going to be a miner. And if you lived in the UK in the 1970s, you probably appreciate that. Oh, there's an if you didn't, you won't. And to be fair, there's a good chance, even if you did live in the UK in the 70s, you won't appreciate that either. Because it wasn't that funny. But it's the best I can do. Okay, so we are heading towards a rock. If you look in the top left-hand corner, it's got Parthene and Sapson in it. Ooh, interesting. It's got some stuff. It's made up of 130,000 blocks. Now that is more than enough. I should have bought some cargo space. God damn it. What I do have is I do have a personal inventory of 2,000. So that's pretty useful. But it does mean that I may struggle with some elements of this rock. Now, what I've done, I did say that I'd changed the server settings a little bit, and what I've done here is I've made thicker veins of resource. So there are actually 4 things in every asteroid. There are generally 2 types of stuff. One terrainy, which is completely useless unless you're building something with terrain, so gardens and things. And the other one is rock, which is useful for rock, and then creating paint. But what we do tend to find is that I certainly tend to find that I end up with like stores of 20 million or 30 million rock or paint, and it just takes up cargo space. And so what I had before, and I've tried doing episode 2 a couple of times, and I found that I had far too many ore, because you can have a mining resource bonus. So when you grab one of these little things on the rectangles, or those sexy bits, you get like you take 1 block out and you get 10,000 stuff. Well, you get loads and loads of stuff anyway. So I've taken that resource multiplier right down. I think I've set it to 2, but I have changed the proportion or the ratio with which you get precious stuff versus your rather useless rock stuff. And that is as much because I hate the waste as anything else. Right, so we've got our little starting block. That's not going to do anything for us, but what we will do there is we will put symmetry mode on. Now if you are like me and you enjoy the sort of classic old sort of 80s science fiction, you tend to prefer symmetrical builds to non-symmetrical builds. I don't have anything against asymmetrical builds. I quite enjoy some of them. I just don't tend to make any of them. What I'm doing here, I'm really just putting, it's not really even proper protection, but generally, I did say in episode 1 you wanted to make this block accessible, because when you duck out, you will come out there. But what I have found is that the local pirates, unless factions has introduced, oh, we'll give them bigger ships, then what happens is you've basically got these kind of ships, isanths or isanths or whatever, however the hell they're called, and they're all right. They're pretty nasty if you get if you run into them, and you haven't got any shields or anything. You die fairly quick. But they're not too amazing, and therefore I'm just putting some stuff around my core so that I understand when I'm under attack, and then the plan would just be to run like buggery. Right, now we've also mentioned power. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to create some power. I'm going to make that 3 wide. I'm going to make that 3 tall. Actually, I'm going to make it 4 wide, and then I've got 20 left. Now I can use advanced build mode, which is the godsend, and I will then set it to 10 each. And look at that, I didn't have to manually click all those blocks. How many Minecraft videos have you watched where it's just dig, 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 I'm digging a trench? The guys from Time Team are really excited. So, put some thrusters, and those thrusters, not anything amazing, but they do mean that I will be able to move. Yep. And then we do some other stuff. Should have already bought some cannons as well. Right, so salvage computer. Note, if you place something and you've only got 1 block in symmetry mode, it's obviously only going to place 1 of them. If you remove, it'll remove both though. So what I can then do is I can put my cannon block there and I can go, oh yeah, brilliant. But if I think, oh yeah, I didn't want that there, I get rid of it. I've deleted my salvage block as well. Now the reason that that's important to remember is because these generally you want to place before you place connected systems. You'll notice it's got a little orangey sort of outline around it, and that is because what it'll then do is hook up to some of these. These are modules, and if I hook up 1 module, then it's yeah, rubbish. That's twice as powerful, that's 3 times as powerful, that's 4 times as powerful, that's 5 times as powerful. And then you'll notice that what that's doing is that is now, when I'm shooting that, I am now digging into this asteroid. I'm not digging tremendously, but I'm digging 5 times quicker than I would have done. And that had a recharge rate. So if you look in my taskbar along the bottom, it's got a little blue thing, and that's basically sort of the recharge rate. And what I might do, if I've got sort of a few of these, I might end up sort of running out of juice. So what I will do, if you place 1 adjacent, that's part of the same system. So this is now just a 6 block thing. So if I place it there instead, I've now got 3 5 block emitters, which means I can either focus them by left clicking or unfocus them by right clicking, and still with this I'm still not actually running out of time, which makes the next point a little bit less relevant to you, or less easy to demonstrate. But effectively, if you have a cannon computer and you hook that up, and then right, so you got there, I've got 3 sets of 5 again, and I can go to my weapon menu, and I can drag things to my start bar. I've got 10 start bars. It's exciting. Or 10. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called. Taskbar, something. But I can have them there. I'll come to this in a second. And what happens is I can shoot and shoot, and I can shoot, and again I can focus as well. Now shooting, yeah, it's alright, but I don't need to do that at the moment. So why have I added cannons? I'm not going to be able to shoot any essence with this, but what I can do is I can drag my computer to a secondary slot, and with a secondary slot it basically says how many blocks have I got in my main system. I've got 15 salvage blocks. How many blocks have I got in there? I've got 15, so it's 100%. If that was 30 and this was 15, I know that says 30, but that's because it's counting the 15 as well. So there's basically that 15 and that 15 that's adding up to that 30. So it says, right, that's a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's 100%. If that was 30 and that was 15, that would be 50%. That's fairly straightforward. What that does is that increases your recharge time. So the little blue sort of wavy thing on the left hand side is going a little bit quicker, and it's not going at all. That could be some recent update, or it could just be that they've nerfed or buffed salvage very recently. Who knows? But the idea now, so that looks brilliant, doesn't it? Now you have to remember, if you're going to place more blocks, you have to remember to go back and connect or activate your connector again. What you will notice is I've got a light blue one as opposed to a purple one, because that is another primary system that is now slaved to my other system. So cannons recharge, and they do that for every weapon. So if you have a cannon slaved to a cannon, then you basically got a machine gun. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create little groups of 5, and I'm doing them diagonally so that I get different sets, or I get different beams coming out, which means that I basically just get I'm sort of doing like a 3x3 grid, and immediately regretting not buying a camera. But you know, who needs that? So I've got some stuff there. I'm getting some stuff. If I look at my inventory, yeah, alright, I'm getting some rock, exciting times, some Parcine, and some Sapson. Basically, fluffy clouds and crystals, quite useful. Ice, yeah, it's nice for decorative purposes. And then a rock. That will make rock, or carved rock, or orange paint. That's basically it. Anyway, yeah, so it's important that you reconnect, because if I didn't have that connected and I started placing salvage blocks, I could end up placing loads and loads of salvage blocks, and actually, crap, they're not actually connected, so they won't do anything, which will make it very irritating, and you have to manually sort of find every one of your groups and then sort of press V or whatever your keyboard mapping is, and it becomes very, very irritating. Very, very irritating. Very, very irritating. Right, so what I'm now going to do, what I can do, I can be a little bit cheeky. I can create another symmetry plane, and then I can say, right, brilliant. Oh, that's, oops. So yeah, when you are working with symmetry, do be careful, because you may accidentally delete some things that you didn't know. So Control Undo is your friend, especially if you're working on things that are a little bit more complicated and fiddly, because there's nothing more irritating than working out that you've been doing something for the last 20 minutes or more, and actually you've been doing it wrong. See, now I was about to, oh no, that didn't click in there at all, which is quite useful, because I was about to then delete something, but then I thought, oh hang on, oh no, I have managed to somehow delete rather than clicking. So therein lies the risks of symmetry. Do be wary. So now I've got these 2 barrels left, and what I now need to do, I need to go around, find my Canon computer again, click C so that I'm, or whatever your keyboard mapping is, and then reattach them. Now, when they are used as a secondary system, the placement doesn't matter. So I could have a big block of 15, I could have them at the front, at the back, pointing the other way. It doesn't, nobody cares, because it really, as a secondary system, all it's doing is providing recharge to the other system. Now, you can see, obviously, I'm now digging into this rock amazingly quickly. Perhaps not so much, but that is what you get for just buying 100 salvages. What you need, your first chip, I would recommend that you find a shop, and you find a shop next to some rocks, and then you essentially do a bit of a ferry job. It's a bit like, oh, let me take you back to 1984, the BBC Micro, and the original Elite. What you did is you ended up finding, I think it was Quaterian Isidore, and trading computers and furs or food. I don't know if they had furs at that time, not politically correct or something, but you ended up just doing the cargo taxi run for a while, and you're doing the same sort of thing here. Now, the other thing I could have bought myself was a scanner. Again, I'm going to cheat because I'm going to try to avoid sort of warping backwards and forwards. I'm going to do an admin scan for this sector. Oh, stuff's turned up. Are there any shops in there? Is the scan going to tell me that the shops are in there? I don't think it is. That's a little bit irritating, because you want it to tell you that there's shops. Still, I think I may have just placed a block. I'm not sure. It's because oh no, I've deleted one. Yep. Undo. Ha 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 ha. Right. So you also have to be careful as to whether you're in flight mode or whether you're in build mode, obviously. Right. So I'm going to do the rest of this, and I'm going to do it in silence, and then I'm going to speed that element of the footage up. Watch this. Or I'm gonna cut that completely and realise that even with sped up, I'll have done like a 40-minute video, and we don't really want to exceed 30. So I'm gonna mine the rest of this rock offline, and we can come back in episode 3, and you can see where you can see me sell my booty, and then perhaps shake it. Okay, see you soon. Bye bye.